What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we're going to be going over my iteration of this new Cell deck that came out recently with the Expert deck. Now, Cell did get a little bit of a facelift. On the front side, basically, the major difference is he has an alternative awakening condition. Once per turn, activate main, you can place one Android card underneath your leader to draw a card and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less and KO it, which is really nice, very similar to how it was originally. But then the awakening condition is when your life is at 4 or less, or there are 3 or more cards underneath this card, you can draw one card, switch up to one of your energy to active mode, and then add cards from your life to your hand until you have 5. So if you have 3 androids stacked underneath, you flip over, untap one, go down to 5, draw a card. It's a nice little alternative awakening condition. I think leaders that don't have ways of alternatively awakening can kind of get pushed out because the meta isn't as reliant on awakening your opponent. You kind of want to control as much as possible. In the olden days of Dragon Ball Super, you didn't awaken until your opponent hit you. So you kind of got locked a little bit at 5 life, or unless you were playing self-awakeners and stuff like that. So leaders that have alternative awakening conditions, I think, have a really good shot of attaining some longevity in this game. And then when we awaken, we're Cell, Return of the Ultimate Life Form. Auto, place one Android card from your hand underneath this card. When this card attacks, draw 2 cards. So it's nice. It's essentially a +1, but you're filtering your leader stack so that you can go ahead and activate main once per turn. Place 2 cards from under this card to your drop area. You could choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it, and then you gain 5k and crit for the turn. So that's nice. That is a little bit of an addition from the original leader. He didn't get that power bump, and the critical is also really nice as well, especially when you want to pressure your opponent and deny them resources. So we're going to go ahead and make a stab or take an attempt at playing this slightly different from probably what you've seen. I am incorporating some green-blue in here, essentially just for sensu beans. Spoiler alert, as you can see on the screen. Before we get into the deck profile itself, I want to shout out Your Playmat and Loot Crate for sponsoring this video. You can check out our discount codes on their respective sites in our link tree in the description box down below. 10% off of your Playmat order, and then 15% off of your monthly subscription through Loot Crate if you guys are into, those mystery subscription boxes, or obviously custom sleeves, custom mats. Your Playmat has it all. So I just want to shout those guys and thank them for sponsoring this video. And we're going to get right into the meat and potatoes of this deck. So we're sitting at a 55 card count. I kind of wanted to get it under 55. I feel a little more comfortable operating at 53, but this deck does draw a lot of cards, so I haven't really had any issues with clunkiness. So we'll just kind of keep that as the initial version. So we are playing a playset or 4 of Android 17, Protector of Wildlife. I like this card for 2 reasons. Obviously, he's going to give you that multicolor blue and green energy. You want to charge him as early as you can so you can get, the ability to play your sensu beans and stuff like that as early as possible, whether it's offensively extending or defensively surviving. But he's an android, so you can always feed him to Cell if you get multiple copies. You can always activate Union Absorb on your other cells, so it's just nice synergy because he is an Android 17. We are playing 4 Bionic Blitzes as our super combo of choice. I do feel like this deck draws enough to where you don't have to play a draw super combo. And, in my opinion, just negging your opponent's resources out of their hand is going to ultimately help you to win when you get your turn-ending combo or your game-ending combo with Perfect Force and, as you can see in the list, Mira Champa or Mira Kai. So I like denying my opponent cards because they're going to want to be the aggressor in this type of a matchup because you can control the board so well. And you don't have to, when you're unawakened, you don't have to, you could passively gain advantage when you're unawakened, which is nice. So we're playing 4 Bionic Blitzes, and then we're playing 4 of each of the twins. We're playing 4/17 Absorption Imminent, and we're playing 4/18 Absorption Imminent. These cards come from the Ultimate deck or the Structure deck or the Expert deck, whatever you want to call it. They're really nice. Android 17 is play it for 1, look at top 5 for an Android, add it to your hand, and then you could feed it to Cell. And then Android 18 is play it for 1, draw a card, and then you can feed it to Cell to draw another card. So those are just really good cantrips, really good, you know, searchers for the deck, tutors, if you will, and they kind of just feed themselves to the leader. And then you can always, of course, activate your Cell starting assimilation from your hand. He is a limit 1 unique, so you can only have one on the board. You can absorb a 17 from your hand or your drop area to go up into a multicolor Cell with a cost of 4, which you'll see as we progress through the profile. But also, if your leader skill KOs one of your opponent's battle cards, you can play him from your hand for free in rest mode. I don't essentially like that, because I don't want to give him up if I don't have any sources to feed. So you kind of want to pick and choose when you play this guy, because any card that you go up the chain with this 1-drop Cell will come out in rest mode. They don't restand. If they were able to kind of ready themselves when they were union absorbed, that would be really nice, because it obviously gives you for protection from being run over. But your 4-drop Cell will come out in rest mode, and then your 8-drop will also come out in rest mode. The 8-drop does have little shenanigans and way of protecting himself and freestanding, but it is at a cost of some resources. So just pick and choose when you play this. You don't always have to do this right away. You can kind of pick and choose. If you're set up defensively and you want to do this, you can go ahead and do it that way. I don't always, you know, play this right away. I kind of just wait for the opportune time. So we're playing 4 of those. We're also playing 4 of our 4-drop multicolor Cell, Dawn of Despair. This is a multicolor yellow-green card. Everything in this deck taps for a green, essentially. Nothing in this deck taps for blue except for Senzu Bean, which is why we're playing the 4 17s. But everything, even though multicolor cards do exist in this deck, everything taps for green. So we don't have to worry about that too much. He's an Energy Exhaust Barrier, which is nice. He has Evolve for 1 green over a 17, and then Union Absorb, limit 1 for a green. If your leader card is Cell, you can absorb an 18 from your hand or drop area to play a multicolor Cell with a cost of 8 from your deck or drop, and then shuffle if you look through it. And then when he's played from your deck or your hand, you get to draw a card. So when you Union Absorb, you can play them from deck or hand, which is nice, so you can trigger these abilities. Obviously, you want to thin out your deck as much as possible, but if you have multiple copies in your hands, they're essentially just not dead. So we're playing 4 of those. We are also playing 2 of the 8-drop Cell Unending Torrent. Now, I don't know why Deck Planet does it this way. I guess Deck Planet just kind of lays the deck out in the order that you add the cards to the list itself. But we're playing 2 of this 8-drop, and we're playing 2 of the older Cell 8-drops from the previous deck. Cell Perfection Misspent. I like the 2-2 split because I feel like it's more versatile. Your new 8-drop from the Expert deck is a 20k dual attack blocker that he could restand himself essentially by detaching a material or detaching an android to restand himself to give yourself another swing. He doesn't have dual attack as a keyword, but he can restand himself to give you another attack. It's nice because you can swing offensively and then restand him to have your blocker. And then he also has some built-in protection. If he were to be removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill, you could put 2 cards from under him in the drop area instead. So it has some built-in protection, not too much. I like the other 8-drop better. Perfection Misspent. I just think he's a better card because he's more defensively purposed. Basically, when you play him, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO, which is nice, more board control. And you could choose an Android 18 card under this guy to place in the drop area. When your opponent attacks, you can negate the attack. Then you can choose one multicolored green-yellow Cell with an energy cost of 4 underneath and play it. And then you place the 8-drop in the air in the drop area. So essentially, he's basically puking out an 18 to stop an attack, and then powering down to his second form. And then you could go ahead and do the Union Absorb again for the next turn, either going into another copy of himself or the other 8-drop that's a blocker. So I just like having that versatility. They're both 20k attackers. It's nothing special, but I like having, the options there of going into whichever Cell leads to that specific scenario. We're playing 2 of the OGs, the OG Cell chain. We're playing 2 Perfect Force Cell. This guy is a house, 30k double strike. You can evolve for 6. You're never going to do that. This is the OG homie from set 2 Union Force. Basically, when this card is played, if your leader's an android, your opponent chooses cards in their hand until they have 3 and places the rest in the drop area. So they basically just neg all their cards till they're at 3, and then you could go ahead and just kind of perform shenanigans that way. He is a 30k double strike, no protection. You get him out with the extra card, which we're going to go over. You definitely want to steer clear of any counter plays. But if this guy hits the board, you're going to neg your opponent, and you're just going to play the resource game that way. This is essentially your kill turn. You can do it on either turn 5 or 6. Most of the time, I've been doing it on turn 5 because at that point, your opponent is just kind of spread thin for resources. So it's just a nice way of going ahead and guaranteeing yourself that victory. So we're playing 2 of him. We're playing 3 Shocking Death Ball, just classic. 1 energy negate, and then you pop a 2 or less, which is great. It's also a sparking negate. If you have 5 in the drop area, you can take a life to activate it if you're tapped out or you want to play defense. And then same thing for Homicidal Clones. This deck puts itself to 5 when it awakens with its alternative condition. So Homicidal Clones is live. Having a free negate for taking a life and then having a blocker on board is really nice because you'll protect your pieces if they're rested, and you'll also mitigate damage that your leader might take if your opponent is being slightly aggressive. I like playing 2 copies though, just in case one gets put in life, or this card late game with a combination of other blockers that you might have can ensure you an extra turn, which sometimes that's really all you need is an extra turn. Then we're playing 2 Wretched Regeneration. I like this card a lot because it has 2 effects. I like that it's a counterattack. And then you could discard a card from your hand and play a green cell from the drop area with 1 energy, so you can go ahead and go up your chain again, which is really nice because it refacilitates, rebuilding the chain if you need to. But I also like to activate main for 5 energy because you have to pay 1 for the activation cost, and you have to pay 4 for the activate main, so it is 5 energy. If your leader card is Cell, you can play up to 1 Cell Xeno card from under your leader card, or 1 green cell with an energy cost of 7 or 8. That's under your leader. So if you feed it the secret rare, you can play it. Obviously, you don't see a secret rare here in the list. But if you're playing the Cell Xeno secret rare, you can feed it to him early to have him there and then play him on turn 5. Or you can go ahead and feed it Perfect Force early and play him on turn 5 as well. It's just a really nice card. I like the versatility of having it as a negate also if I need to use it that way. We're playing 3 Charismatic Villains. I am playing a later Unison. I'm not playing a 2-drop or a 1-drop Unison. I'm playing a 3-drop Unison in this deck. So my Charismatic Villains aren't going to be live right away. But I feel like I can control the board, obviously not ignoring barrier, but I feel like I can control the board to a certain state where it doesn't snowball or spiral out of control, and then it allows me to get to that point where I could safely cast my Unison and then turn on my my counter plays that way. So we're playing 3 Charismatic Villains. We're playing 4 of the Android 1718 Absorption Imminent. It's just basically they substitute for one or the other. But if your opponent's battle card's KO'd, you can play this from your hand for free. It's a 10k critical swing. It's not too crazy, but you can do it early. Pressure for 10k crit on an unawakened leader, and then activate main. You can feed it to your cell to draw a card, so it's going to replace itself immediately. It's not bad. It's similar to Surprise Attack Frieza. Offensively, I like Frieza more because he's a 15k crit, but this just has more synergy being an android. So shout out to my friend Enrique for convincing me to doing that. We're playing 4 Sensu Beans. We're playing blue. You play Sensu Bean. Sensu Bean is very nice defensively. Sensu Bean is very nice offensively for extension. This deck plays a lot of things for cheap amount of energy, and defensively, you know, with stuff going wide right now, you can kind of mitigate some damage and get yourself to a more comfortable total to be able to defend optimally. So I like 4 Sensu Bean. I'm playing 1 Deity's Wrath. Obviously, we're playing the counterplay Frieza, so that's an easy just, you know, sack Frieza for 1, play Deity's Wrath. Deity's Wrath is a 20k indestructible. Every time you swing, your opponent's got to ditch a card. So that's just really nice hand destruction. It's not an android, so you obviously don't want to, you know, have too many copies of it because you don't want it being clunky. But it is a nice card that I like playing in green. We're playing 1 Creator Absorbed. A spoiler alert, Mira is an android. So if you draw him too early or you're trying to recover a pivot, you can feed it to cell to draw a card and pop, or to just get another source under there so you can go ahead and use his effect when he's awakened. Mira is an android, but obviously this is your win condition. This is your sneak in that last game for damage. We all remember the early days of Mira Champa battering. It's kind of back. We don't have battering unless you're playing cooler in yellow, but I do like the surprise factor. Obviously not anymore because I'm posting this on YouTube, but I do like the surprise factor of Mira Champa for game because it is doable, especially if you do it on turn 6 in combination with your Perfect Force. shoving your opponent down to 3 cards, you getting rid of those last couple of cards, and then swinging for game infinitely with Mira and a double striker. That's my thought process behind there. We're playing 1 Hidden East Supreme Kai for the double strike, and then my unison of choice is Meta Cooler Terrifying Horde. I like this guy because he poops out tokens that create problems for your opponent. You can use them defensively as combo power. You can use them offensively to go wide, but he also helps you cycle. You basically pitch a card when you uptick a marker and then draw 2, so it gets you to your pieces. You don't mind your Android 17s and 18s being in the drop area because you can union absorb them from the hand or the drop. So I just feel like this goes very well together. The only downside is that he is a 3-cost unison, so you are playing him later in the game, so it's not something you're going to control early on. I know a lot of the times people are playing the Vegito unison because it has that union skill to draw a card, which is really nice, and the -7 is no joke, but I wanted to try my hands with this cooler because I do like the synergy with the discarding for the uptick on the marker there. And I also like playing tokens for free and swinging for 15k. Who doesn't? And then we're playing 2 Focus Breakthroughs. You can play it in this deck because we're charging a multicolor as early as turn 1 or 2. And it's just a nice counterplay. You know, stops like Riposts and stops like, you know, Floodgates, stops Oceanus, you know, stops a lot of different things that might hinder you from trying to go for game, or, you know, your opponent trying to extend their board. And you could proc this for free if you have 4 or less life by taking a life, or you could just go ahead and pay the 1 for it. Either way, it's a good card, but it's nice because we charge that multicolor energy early, and then we already went over our last 8 drops. So that's pretty much it. I am going to go ahead and take this deck to locals this weekend, so tune into the live stream so you can check out some gameplay. Obviously, if I'm not scrubbing out, I'll probably try to get on stream at some point. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, you know. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and please hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.